Yes, please go ahead.
Sir, I am Pawan from Andhra Pradesh.
Okay.
Sir, I am currently studying BTech second year,
Okay, very good. What is your branch?
CSC, sir.
CSE. Okay. Computer
From
Science and
from
Engineering.
yes, sir. From Pragati Engineering College, Bhimavaram, Shivrampalayam.
Okay, okay. Very good.
Okay,
Uh,
sir. I got in my second year, I got 9.6 CGPA, sir.
oh wow, that's
And
that's really good.
on
Well
10th,
done.
9.2 CGPA, sir.
Okay.
I want to learn from this webinar to know the advanced technologies like AL, ML, DL.
Yes, yes, sure, sure.
Yes,
So
sir.
this session is will be an introduction to this or what is artificial intelligence, why everyone is learning artificial intelligence, what is machine learning, what is data science, and how robotics and all these new technologies are changing the world, and what are the job opportunities and other placement opportunities for students in colleges who will be joining the industries in coming years. Okay. So thank you
Okay,
so
sir.
much, Pawan.
Okay, sir.
Others can also just keep posting in chat box so that like we are just so can Anna Meg Kustan, can you introduce yourself a bit? Like what is your background, what are your expectations, so that because this session is going to be more of a interactive session where you will be having your doubts, your confusions. You can ask questions, you can post them in chat box, and we will try to solve them as they come along. Okay, so uh, Anna May Kustan, if you can hear my voice. Yeah, okay. Anyways, it's a request, just as in when you join, you just keep posting your backgrounds and all in the chat box. And with this, we shall start with the session. Okay, so hello everyone and welcome again to this session. I have intentionally kept the topic for this session to be all cool things about robotics, data science, artificial intelligence, and more, because I just wanted to discuss or touch upon the various technologies, the various trends in the field of robotics and artificial intelligence, and why it is so important, why everyone is running behind these new terminologies and these subjects, and why how are companies using all of these platforms to improve our lives and put more products. Okay. Okay, correct. Very good, very good. Anna has replied. So, okay, computer science from Philippines. Very good, very good. Okay, okay, perfect, perfect. Thanks a lot, Anna. Great. So just to start off, let me give a little introduction of myself. So I am basically a mechanical engineer by education. I have done bachelor's in mechanical engineering and then master's. And presently I'm pursuing, I'm researching on this human robot interaction in a lab in IISc Bangalore. Right. I have some publications and some patents from my research work. I also love playing football. So just to connect with the people, right? So I love playing football and reading books and normal movies and all, right? So let's start with, I'll just show you some videos of latest robots that are there. So most of these robots you must have seen on YouTube or on Facebook, or if you keep reading keep reading articles on robotics and AI, you must have seen these robots before, right? So actually, please let me know if you are able to hear the music, because this is a humanoid robot from a very top class company in robotics called Boston Dynamics. Okay, so Normesi, can you hear my voice now? Am I audible, or should I? Okay, so Ritik Asthana is a final year student in Innovatis University, Bareilly. So just try to focus on how well these robots are dancing together with each other. So I think they are dancing better than not a group of humans can dance. Okay, and let me tell you that all of these steps, it is not a CGI. It's not a something fake like a movie. It's all real. Okay, so these robots. So this the dog-like robot is called Spot, and these humanoid robots are called Atlas. Okay, so we have a bigger robot like this, which works in warehouses and factories. Okay, so they can dance, they can move, they can perform activities in so much sync, just like a group of humans can do. Okay, so with this video, I just wanted to bring your attention to the current status of robotics and artificial intelligence. Okay, so we have companies and we have people working in this field who have achieved this much level of robotic level control. So now we have a robot which can stand like a human, walk like a human, dance like a human. We have robots which look like a dog. Okay, so now this is a video of the same robot. It will do some flips. Okay, so it's the same robot, but it is very athletic like a human. It can pick and place objects like a human can do in the warehouses. Okay, and it can also open doors. So opening doors, picking something is very simple and comes naturally to humans, but for a robot to do accomplish all of these things, it requires a lot of programming, a lot of controls, a lot of little bit electronics and motors. All of these should be communicating with all other systems very precisely. Okay, so this robot like exactly behaves like a dog. Okay, so now this robot can perform flips like a human or an athlete or Olympian. Okay, so suppose you have to run against a robot, and we can have robots which are doing everything or playing football with us in the field. So we are almost reaching that particular stage. Okay, next I want to show you is a uh, exoskeleton robot. So you must have seen the movies like Iron Man and all other science fiction movies like Edge of Tomorrow, where the human soldiers are wearing some suits on top of their body, which are supporting their muscle movement, and they are giving them extra power. Okay, so lifting up heavy weights and putting them in machineries, putting them in trucks takes a lot of physical effort. So at some point, the workers and the laborers, they get injuries in their backs and some long time incurable diseases also because of this posture and extra load being carried throughout their lives. So now we have these exoskeletons which can support the muscles and the back, and all the weight is being taken by the robot, not by the human. Human is just there to guide the robot to different where to move, where to pick it up. So a human is just used for its brain and decision making, right? So these robots are out there, we can buy. So this robot you must have seen. So this robot is a humanoid robot made by Hanson Robotics. The name of this robot is Sophia. It looks like humans. It can express emotions like almost like a human. It can blink. It can smile. It can show when it is surprised. It can show that reaction. Okay, and it can have a complete conversation. Like you can talk to a new person when you meet in a party or when you go out for an event. You meet someone new. You can have a conversation. Similar conversation you can also have with this particular robot, and it is answering by its general intelligence, not by some pre-programmed answers. Okay, so actually whatever this particular interviewer lady is asking this robot, it is doing speech recognition. Whatever she's saying, the girl is saying, the robot is interpreting those words, making a sense out of it, then trying to answer it based on the knowledge that she has. Okay, and next, yeah. So these were some of the finest robots as of which are functioning, which are being used by people and industries across the world today. Okay, so from now on, the robots and the development are going to be more advanced. In any case, however, like in third world countries like India and other countries of Asian continent, they still have a lot of scope and a lot of opportunity to grab or to absorb this trend of robotics and AI in the present industries and companies. So just to give some examples in which all companies robotics is being used, we have so basically robots came into being because of their use in industries. So industries and manufacturing factories were the place which gave birth to the use of robots. So we have robots here which are manufacturing our cars. If you're watching this video on a mobile phone, that mobile phone probably built by a robot. And in the warehouses, if you place orders in Amazon and Flipkart, there are robots like these who are picking the orders. Why? Because they're very accurate, they're very precise, they can work 24/7 throughout the month, throughout the year. The robots do not need any breaks. They do not, there is no need to sleep, just like a human need. There are needs, physical needs of a human to sleep, to eat, to rest, okay, to take a break, but machines can work throughout the period, and they may need some little bit of maintenance, but not else. Okay, so this video shows, so it's a factory of Audi car factory, okay, where Fanuc is a world producer of robots, like one of the best. So they are actually helping in manufacturing and assembling of the cars in the shop floors. So the one here, one big robot is picking up the engine, placing it on the chassis. Then the other robot is putting some other part. Now the car frame comes up. So there are different activities like riveting, bolting, and soldering and welding. All of these are being done by different robots. So it is very precise and accurate. Okay, and with robots, this company is able to produce better cars and more number of cars in the same number of time. Okay, so that's why this is one use case in automobile factory. Another one is this Amazon warehouse. So it's an Amazon fulfillment center in Seattle. Okay, so it's like a big place, big warehouse where all the raw products are kept. Okay, so it's like a so whatever you order in the app are kept in some shelves inside big rooms. Okay, so the normal way of doing is any one person will prepare a list of items that you ordered. He will go to each and every shelf, pick up the item, bring back to the station and pack it, and then deliver it to your place or to the logistic team. Okay, which will carry that package to your home on a vehicle. So but what Amazon did is that they prepared multiple autonomous mobile robots, okay, which can go to any of the shelf and bring that whole shelf to the person to pick the order from. Okay, and they can work continuously. They do not collide with each other. They know all the paths. Everything is being mapped, and it is they work like magic, right? They never so there are not much failures. Okay, and they are reducing a lot of human effort. They are saving a lot of human time, right? So now these shells are being brought to a person like this who is taking out the order which was required. Now he can just directly place the order in the package. So he does not need to move. A lot of human energy is being saved. Okay, now we have robots being used in military. Okay, so for a situation like bomb defusal, for surveillance, if you have watched some war movies, we have drones and we have robots like this who are used for bomb defusal and for surveillance. If there is enemy somewhere else in front of me, or how is to keep it just to figure out how the terrain looks like. Okay, and we now also have robots with a lot of guns mounted on them. They can be used in a war against any country, right? So what are the benefits? They are teleoperated. You need not to be present there with the robot. You can operate it from a safer distance. You can use it for landmine defusal. You can use it for extraction or delivery of wounded soldiers to the hospital. You can use it for surveillance, or you can use it for killing enemies. Okay, so here is one report by CBS channel on right? So we have, this is the US Army, which is using drones, right? Next, we have, so we have a drone which can see in night, okay? In the night, in the dark. So it has a thermal camera on top of it. So in night also it can track and do surveillance in areas where army is being deployed. Okay, so we have all different kinds of robot which can operate through a mobile phone, right? We have multi-terrain robots. So this drone you can fly it using the mobile phone. And we have this multi-terrain small tank-like robot with a gun and a lot of other sensors, which can be remotely operated. Okay. And we have all-terrain vehicles, like which you can drive in the water, which you can drive on soil, on land, and they can even fly. So military is also one of the biggest places of robotics research. Then one place where you cannot avoid the importance of robot is the healthcare, right? So think of a person who lost their limbs, suppose some warrior or some army person lost their limbs in a war. Now we can provide them prosthetic or a robotic hand, which can work like a normal human hand for grabbing, for picking and placing, right? So in time of corona, when a patient is admitted in the hospital, you need to communicate with the person but cannot go physically near to him. So we can have a tele-operated video conferencing robot like this. So with this, the person can talk to their relatives, they can talk to their family at home, and the doctor can also keep an eye on each multiple patients at once. So this robot can move in the hospital and do certain tasks. Okay, we have this exoskeleton which can help you to recover from your back injury or from your problems in muscle on movement and posture. This can help you to walk up straight. We have this robot, Da Vinci robot, which is used for surgery and doing operations. I'll show you in the video, right? So this is the Vinci surgical system. It's very old now. So this is the doctor operating the robotic arms for performing some kind of an operation. This is the collection of robotic arm focused on the area where the operation or the surgery needs to be performed. Here, the hand motion of the robots of the doctor are being converted into precise movements of these needles and end effectors of the robot. Okay, so basically here the doctor sees where to operate, what to operate, and this is the joystick controller where the hand movement or hand motion of the doctor are being replicated by the robot in a better way on the patient. Okay, so these are the end effectors. So turning, twisting, all these features can be achieved. Okay, and it is very small. So it takes care of all the events where like a doctor's hand may shake or may do some abrupt motion. All this is controlled by the robotic arm. So all the motions are very precise and very accurate. So the doctor is doing a sewing operation with the proposed system. Okay, next is this a Moxi robot. So it is a robot which work like a nurse in the hospital. It can go to any room. It can go to any floor. It can take up lifts. It can deliver some objects, take some samples from the patients. The patients can talk to this particular robot. It will answer some questions. It can tell you a joke. So in a situation where corona like infections are spreading rapidly, this robot can be helpful. Okay, far better than any other kind of a physical person doing the job. Okay, so one special thing that researchers found with this robot is that children loved this robot very much. So normally children are very much afraid to go to a hospital and to take some medicine or do some tests. So when they see this robot there, they can talk to her. The robot will make them smile. Some of the students wrote a letter to this Moxi robot also, right? So these are some of the applications where robots are being used. They are also used in education. The children with speech therapy issues or speech issues or some kind of physically physical challenge that they are facing because of birth or because of some disease they have or because of some accident. So robots can be used to teach them mathematics. They can help them to improve their confidence. They can perform his speech therapy. If a child is confined to their rooms and cannot move, go to the class or meet their friends, so we can send a robotic avatar in place of the student to attend the school, where the robot allows that particular child to talk to each and everyone just like it was talking in real time. Okay, then in space we have lots and lots of robots. So presently we have a robot and a drone on the planet of Mars, which is being controlled by the scientists on Earth. Okay, so this is one of the rovers, like Curiosity rover. This is for the design of the Curiosity rover. Okay, this is a Canada arm which is placed on the International Space Station, which is used to perform any kind of maintenance and welding or any other activity on the surface of the International Space Station. Okay, so instead of sending a person, we can use this robotic arm. And NASA is also building this robot called Robonaut, which can be placed in a spaceship, and it can be sent to any other planet or outer space, where this robot will work or operate the spaceship like a person will do. Okay, so this video shows a demo of a Mars rover, how it looks like. Okay, and this terrain is kind of a replica of the Mars atmosphere. So this robot has different wheels. All the wheels are powered. They can turn in any direction. This kind of design provides better control, better navigation on unknown terrain. Okay, so you can drive a car on road, but you can not drive a car off road. So we need some kind of some design like this. Okay, so it can twist its hip. Okay, and they are not wheels but spokes. So it lets this robot to tackle different terrains, right? And they both can collaborate with each other. So this thing rotating on the top of the robot is a lidar, which helps in making the map of the surrounding. So just like you go anywhere on the road or whenever you go, you have your eyes and your brain to process the information around you. Okay, friend, there's a wall, or I have to go take a left from there. There is a car behind me. So all this information helps you to make decision how to navigate in the space around you. Okay. So now they can collaborate. We have these fiducial markers to keep a track. There is a robotic arm on top of it to pick and place some samples. So this big robot cannot go anywhere, but this smaller robot can go to very small places, and it can pick up samples and talk. And these two can communicate with each other. So this is how, just like a human team, we have a robot team which can work for a common task. Now this is the operator of that particular robot, which is seeing all this terrain in a virtual reality environment. So whatever data is being recorded by the sensors on this robot are being rendered or are being visualized in this big screen, which is helping the human operator to see what the robot is seeing. And human operator can also help in making a decision and plan on the movement. Okay, so this is the controller. So his elbow movement, hand movements, all are being reflected over by the robot. Okay. Right. So we have robots underwater also for deep sea exploration. We have small submarines, autonomous submarines like this, which are operated under the water. Okay. We have fish-like robots, which you can control with a robot, with a game controller like this. Okay. So we have for doing underground mining and petroleum digging, we have big pipelines which needs maintenance. And it is very risky to send a human team down in water to do all kinds of exploration. So we have a robot to do inspection and maintenance in the sea. And also in case of any disaster, we can use these for search and rescue. So if a ship gets drowned, we can use such robots to get the survivors out. Okay, so this is an example of a live submarine. Okay, so it's kind of a robot underwater with arms and some grippers to hold and grab something in under the water. Okay, so this is how. So they have lights. It is completely autonomous and also have some manual controls. Okay, it will by default it will go down. It can change its pressure to change its depth and perform some activity, some task under the water. right? So we have robots for, so just like we have flood situation as of now in India, in Uttarakhand we are facing, and there are landslides in other places. So we can use robots and drones to supply medical help to spot the injured people who can be saved. We can also use them to deliver the injured persons to the nearest hospital. Okay. So we also have robots in agriculture. So it's a very huge robot. So it is a cherry farm, right? The robot's name is Agrobot. So the robot only do all kind of cultivation, all the cutting, spraying of pesticides, everything is being completely done by the robot itself. Okay. And it can move across the fields. It has big tires, right? Next, we have a drone. So DJI is one of the world's best drone making company. So they are making drones for agriculture and for farmers, because the land is the weather, the weather and the condition in which a farmer has to work on the field can be very tough, like too much rain or too much heat, which is not good for a human person, for a human. So we have drones where you can design, or you can map the area to be covered, or to be on which you want to spray the pesticides. Then this drone will autonomously go to your complete field and do the spraying of pesticides or some other water, or if you want to put some fertilizers, all that can be done. And the person can operate it from a remote, or just can be at their homes, and this robot drone will perform all the cultivation activities. Okay. Other interesting robots are, we have already seen Sophia, we have seen Atlas. This is self-driving car by Google. So self-driving cars are very common now. Tesla is one of the top producers, which kind of gave a new outlook to this autonomous driving and made it possible. We have animal inspired robots like a spider robot, or this Spot robot, right? So now let me show you some examples of animal inspired robotics. There is a company called Festo, which makes robots which are completely inspired from a animal, from biology. So it is a bat-like robot. Okay, it flies like bat, it looks like a bat. Okay, this is the mechanism that people have designed. They have named it bionic flying fox, but it actually looks like a bat. Okay, now this is a robot which looks and works like jellyfish. The complete mechanism is being inspired from the biology of robots, or biology of jellyfishes. Okay, it can swim in water. Next, we have this robot which is inspired from an insect which can roll itself on ground. If you watch National Geographic and Discovery, you must have seen insects like these. Okay, so it can actually push from the legs, and it can convert its legs from 8 legs to a circular shape to make it roll. Okay. It can spread out its leg to become like a spider, or it can roll it. Now we have a bird-like robot. So if you are from India and you have watched Uri, then you have seen that drone. Okay, so that drone is no more a fantasy. It was not a fantasy, it is already there. Okay, so it's a bird-like robot which flies like a bird and looks like a bird. Okay, it's very convincing. Okay, if it flies off your head, you will not be able to distinguish whether it's a real bird or a robotic bird. Okay, next we have these butterfly robots. So they are actually looking like butterflies, and this design of wings it is flying. The dynamics of flying is almost like a butterfly. Okay, of course it has sensors and some microelectronics to replicate that biological behavior, but yes, it is all very beautiful. So we have a kangaroo bot also, where the researchers have designed their legs to be jumpy like a actual kangaroo. It can jump, and it can actually balance on 2 legs itself. That's actually very fascinating to look at. And it can understand human gestures, just like a pet, or like your dog, or just like a cat you have at home. Okay, now let me come upon to the main reason why artificial intelligence, machine learning, and data science is booming, or kind of everyone started talking about all these technologies, and every company is looking for a data scientist or a machine learning engineer or an AI expert or some robotics uh, engineer, right? So the main reason is that until 2005, we have created uh, 130 exabytes of data, right? We have generated, as a human, we have generated this much of data. Now data is any kind of data, can be like any text, any book that you read, any movie that you watched. It can be any thing that your friend told you, or any story your grandma told you. Everything comes under data. So this, and bytes is what in which data is measured, right? Just like your height is measured in centimeter, inches, and meter, your milk you buy or any liquid is measured in liters. Similarly, data is measured in bytes. Okay, so one exabyte is this much. Okay, one followed by 18 zeros. We have already created this much of data by 2005. Right, now let's look at how much information can we store in this much of data. Right, so suppose you store a name in your phone book with just one letter A, then that contact will take up around 1 byte of information. If you store a complete page or any word page, you wrote an application to your boss, or some mail you wrote, it may take up around 1 kilobyte of data, right? It is one page. If you save a PDF of a book which has 500 pages, it will take up around 1 MB of space, 1 MB of physical space in your hard drive. Okay, if you make a recording of a person's complete life, from the birth of the person to the death of the person, you record every second, every minute, every hour, every day, till his whole life. You can record every second of any person's life in almost like 1 TB or 1000 GB of hard disk space. So 1000 GB and 1 TB is the standard hard disk space that you have in a laptop. Okay, so presently my laptop has 1 TB, right? So I can store this much of information, whatever that person sees since his birth till his death, whatever movies, whatever places he goes, everything can be recorded and kept in this much of space, right? So now this gives an idea how much information we can store in some in bits, in gigabytes, megabytes, and terabytes. Just to give an example, so like the information contained in any novel, or you can say any book that you read on any subject, is almost as equal to an ant or an insect in size. Then the information stored in 1 gigabyte, or you can say like one complete movie you watch, is almost in size, it is equal to size of a person. Then the information, or the annual world literature production. So in 1 year, what in the total books produced in the whole world can be this much of the information of all those books can be stored in 1 terabyte, which is almost equal to a size of a bridge. Now when we compare it to exabytes, 1 exabyte is equivalent to the size of sun. Okay, right? So in 1 exabyte we can store information as large as the size of the sun. We have already created 130 exabyte of data by 2005, which is 16 years back from there. Now the situation have changed. We have internet. All of us, like 10 years back, we were not on internet. We do not have smartphones. Now every one of us has smartphones. We are all on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. Okay, we send emails, we have WhatsApp, we are a part of YouTube, we watch YouTube videos. So now just have a let's understand what happens in just an internet minute. So by the time I'm speaking for next 1 minute, all of these things have been already done. So in next 1 minute, 30 hours of videos have been uploaded on YouTube in just 1 minute. Okay, and 1.3 million videos have been watched by people. On Google, around 2 million questions have been asked and answered in just 1 minute, right? So in 2 minutes, it becomes 4 million. In 5 minutes, it becomes 10 million queries being answered on Google, right? And on Facebook, there are 6 million Facebook views. 6 million is 60 lakhs if you are from India. 1 million is 10 lakh, right? So there are 204 millions, that is 2 crore emails sent and received, right? 20 million photos are being watched on Twitter. There are 1 lakh tweets on Twitter. In just 1 minute, this much of digital data we are exchanging, we are producing at this much of this rate. Okay, every minute 30 hour of more content is available on YouTube. New content is being added. So presently we are generating data faster than anywhere else, like faster than before ever. Okay, so we are creating a lot of data and generating a lot of information online. So what is this information? So you know your friends about what your friends like, what your friend does not like. When you have to ask for money from your father, you know whether you wait for him to come in a better mood because you understand his behavior. Okay, you understand. So whatever knowledge, whatever understanding you have is because you have always consumed data from your environment. You have seen people, you have met people, you have watched movies, you have listened to stories, you have read books, you have read articles. All this is data and your brain is the processor. So you are just taking data input and your brain is processing, which is giving you information and insights, when to talk, when not to talk, when to ask, what to gift to my friend on his birthday. Right, you are analyzing, your by default your brain is analyzing all that data and giving you inside patterns. Okay, so similarly by 2020 we have already exploded or increased our data production by more than I think 400 times. Yeah, 400 times. We are this much of data we are already generating as of now. So all this data is being used heavily, and with this data generation, technology has also increased. Right. So now your laptop has a 6 GB of RAM. I mean, it has a processor which is faster than a laptop processor. So the processing power, the computing power is increasing. It is becoming electronics is becoming smaller and smaller in size. The uses are becoming huge and more. Right. So now here with this data only comes AI, machine learning, and data science. So they are all very interconnected terms, but are used separately. Right. So I will try to just give you an example. So machine learning is the study of making robots to learn, perform a task accurately without the need of programming them. So basically, just like a human, you learn from examples. So if you want to learn to play cricket, you will go to the ground, you will start bowling and batting. And if you do it for the next 1 year, you will be pretty good at cricket. Okay, or any game you want to choose. So it is like practicing, learning from examples. Okay, you will make mistakes, you will then learn from examples, you will do it better. Similarly, we can teach a machine or a computer or a mobile phone or a robot to learn from examples. Right. So this task of learning from examples without writing the code, exactly the code, what to do next, if we are making the robot smart enough or intelligent enough to learn from examples, we call it machine learning. Right. So there are different types of machine learning: supervised machine learning, unsupervised machine learning, and reinforcement learning. Right. And when we introduce a machine learning, or you can call it AI, so when any system becomes intelligent, so we call humans intelligent. Oh, he's very intelligent, he's not very intelligent, or he's the most intelligent person in the class because he answers all the questions, he knows what to do, what not to do. So when we put intelligence, or when we make machine when we put machine learning in a system, it becomes intelligent. That's why we generally we name it as artificial intelligence. Okay, artificial intelligence is nothing but using machine learning in your system. You make your machine learn without writing the complete program for them. Okay, so any system, if you put machine learning, you can learn some behavior which were not known before. You can make some predictions about the future. You can make some improvements. So this is why the general process, why everyone is using machine learning. Right. So one example is computer vision. So you know what is a cat, what is a dog, what is a car, what is a red light, should I go or should I cross the road now or not? All of this you know as a person because you have seen different things, your parents have taught you, your environment has taught you. But when we do the same thing with a camera, suppose I want to show something to my camera and it should tell me something. So if I give this plate to you and I say, okay, you tell me what are the fruits in this plate, what do you see? So you will look from your eyes, your brain will process the material if you have seen it before only. Right. If there is a fruit which you have not seen before, you will not be able to tell the name of that fruit. Okay, then you can take, there is a bowl, there is an orange, there is a banana and apple. Right. Same thing, I should give input to my computer. There has to be a sensing device like a camera, and there has to be a processor like a brain, which will give me the output. Right. So on the top right, you see this is the view of any autonomous car. If you go out on market or on the road, you will see a lot of cars, a lot of people crossing the road. So this all information is by default processed in your brain, but the same thing we have to put in a autonomous car so that it could make sense. Okay, this person is crossing, I should not cross now. So if when he crosses, I'll go after that. Is there a car? Is the light red or not? All this processing should be done on the computer itself. So we have mathematical techniques. So machine learning is nothing but statistics, probability, and mathematics completely. So all these images, so just like you can see, so if you have not seen a cat before, you will say that everything else is green, but this region is white. I don't know what is this, but this region is white. Same thing can be understood by a computer image also, like this. So all this region is one thing, this region is a different region, but this is something else. Then I can use some techniques to name it. Okay, make a bounding box and call it cat. Then I make the computer understand, okay, this is a cat, this is a dog, this is image or different colors. I can make a computer understand what colors are, what different objects are. Okay. Now, same thing is used in robotics for localization and mapping. If I ask, ultimately the robot has to move in space and do something for us. Okay, robot is a machine which will follow my instructions simply. Now, for it will need localization and mapping. Now, what is localization? If I ask you to go out to the market and buy a bottle of cold drink, you will do it without any question, because you know where the shop is, how to go out of from your room, from your house, where to buy, how to buy, what cold drink to ask for, you know, all that thing. But to make a robot do the same thing, I need to localize it. Localize means I should tell my robot where it is, in the robot's brain, where it is. So if I call you now, okay, I am sitting in my room, so you know you are in your room, I am here in my house, right? So localization is where my robot is. Mapping is what does the environment look like to my robot. So what is my robot's environment? Okay, so all this is done based on the camera inputs, the sensor input from the robots, right? Next, there are a lot of machine learning examples. So first one is, we have seen the Google self-driving car. Then we have web search results, right? So if you have searched for a bicycle in your WhatsApp chat, or you were talking to a friend about buying a new bicycle on Facebook, you will see the results on your Chrome or your browser page. Right now, social listening applications like Twitter, whatever comments you post on Facebook, whatever comments you post on Twitter, they all are being analyzed by an algorithm, whether they are positive, whether they are negative, whether they are hate speech or not. Okay, now how to give pricing model. So your Amazon offers will be different from my Amazon offers. So we are being targeted individually based on our experiences, what kind of things I buy on Amazon, what kind of things you buy on Amazon, how much you are spending on Amazon. Based on all these things, they are giving you offers to get more profit from us. Okay, and provide us better products. Text-based sentiment analysis. So if just like a Twitter post or a Facebook post, whether it is socially acceptable or whether it is positive comment or a negative feedback. So I buy a product online, I give a review. So there is an algorithm which will tell me there are 100 positive reviews and 20 negative reviews just by the text that we post. Okay, so otherwise a person has to be sit there, read through all the post and then answer, okay, it is better, people are liking it or not liking it. Then we have fraud detection. So the kind of transaction we do on bank, they also leave a digital footprint. So we can use previous data to figure out whether a incoming transaction or a transaction is a fraud or a real one. Then pattern recognition. Okay, in images, in different data sets. So it rained for the last year this much, will it rain this year or not? Last year my sales was only this much, how can I make it better? So what are the different patterns? So at the month end the sales goes down, but in the first week of the month the sale increases, maybe because everyone gets their salaries. Okay, credit scoring, then prediction of success and failure, whether some strategy will work or not. Then we have online recommendation. If you watch something on YouTube, you will see that the recommendation. So if you watch one video about cricket, one video about football, the next video by default will be about football or or cricket, right? Based on the types of video you watch, right? So this is a picture which explains the distribution or how all these things fit together. So artificial intelligence is the big umbrella term or the big subject. The subjects we have mathematics. There are a lot of subsets or inside mathematics. We have algebra, we have geometry, we have mensuration, we have trigonometry. So similarly, artificial intelligence is the general big term which is used to address any system or any program, any software, any hardware which is smart, which is intelligent, which can do something on its own. Inside machine learning, there is a big section called inside artificial intelligence. There is a big section called machine learning. Machine learning is a set of tools. It has multiple tools which can be used to solve our problems, right? Problems as in all the tools, all the strategies, all the mathematical algorithms, different algorithms can be used to make sense of data. If you have huge multiple data, what you can learn from the data based on the type of the data that you have, image data, text data, or you have a video data, or you have an Excel sheet, or you have a data about something else. So what you can learn from the data is done by machine learning. Machine learning is like a toolbox. It has multiple concepts, just like mathematics. So if you want to find the area of triangle, you will use geometry. If you find the angle of your length of your shadow, you will use trigonometry. If you find out what is the volume of this bucket, you will use mensuration. So all they are under artificial mathematics only, but they are different topics, different strategies. Based on the problem you are solving, you will use that particular strategy. So that machine learning is a collection of strategies. Now comes data science. Data science is it's an intersection of machine learning and it goes outside also. Like this is the domain knowledge. So if you applied data science to your sports analytics, who will win the next World Cup, how India team will perform in next Olympics, or will this disease spread or not? Okay, so we are collecting data about a specific problem and we are using machine learning tools to solve it. But the data, the domain of the data is different. It can be a weather data. It can be a data about a disease. Okay, that's why it is coming a bit out. Then deep learning is a subset of machine learning, which deals with only neural networks. Neural network is replication of, so we have neurons in our brain as humans. So when I replicate a neural network digitally, programmatically, I call it deep learning. Okay, and big data is when the data is so huge. So suppose we are talking about the Facebook data. So the data that Facebook generates in one day cannot be stored in a computer or laptop or a collection of them. So there are specific techniques to deal with big data. Big data means just the data is very huge. It is being generated at a very fast pace. I need to different tools to manage it. Right. Next, there are multiple applications of artificial intelligence, right? So we have cognitive cyber security, robotic personal assistants, autonomous surgical robots, cloud robotics, thought control gaming, right? Bridge of brain computer interfaces. We have real-time universal translation like Google Translate, virtual companions, avatars, natural language processing, pattern recognition. So these are different areas in which artificial intelligence, or you can say different places in which artificial intelligence is being used. So right, they're using one technique or the other to solve a real world problem. Right now, why should you learn data science? Not just data science, but why should you learn AI? Why should you learn machine learning? Because they all are interlinked. Because in 21st century, we are generating data anyhow, because all of us are connected to the internet and we are generating lots and lots of data which can be put to good use. And presently it's a problem of demand and supply. All the industries need people who are trained in machine learning and AI and data science, but there is not enough supply. Okay, and it is a lucrative career. I'll just share about the packages, the money that you're going to get. It's very good, and it is actually changing the world. You will get to do a meaningful job, and it is the future. Right. This is Harvard Business Review. They have mentioned that data scientist, or you can say machine learning or AI, is the sexiest job of 21st century. Right. They are all different blogs which are talking about AI, machine learning, and data science only. Right. So how it is changing the world and how it is so important for us to get skilled in this area. Right. In India only, the present business is around $2 billion. And by next year, it is going to be $16 billion, 4 times increase in this business of data science and machine learning. And India will become the top 3 locations in the world for AI and machine learning. This data is by NESCOM, okay, not by me. Now we have different names in companies in which the underlying job concept or in the underlying requirement is same: machine learning, AI, data science tools, robotics. Right? You can have different names, and the jobs posting, like in 2015 this was a job posting. In 2020 all the job postings have increased and the salary is always increasing, right? So thank you so much. Now I would like you to just give you some real world examples, right, where you can just go through and whatever we have discussed, how the same thing applies in uh, applies in the real world, right? So if you, I hope you are able to see my screen, right? So I'll try to show you some examples like this, right? So first of all, let me show you a basic object detection example. We show how just like human understand. So this is me. Hi, this is telling there is a bounding box which is telling that I am a person, right? And it is keeping a track of me wherever I go. Okay, and I can track this particular tree also. It's a potted plant vase, right? It's basic object detection. If I put a book, it should detect those also. Yeah, it is saying book. Sometimes it is saying book, other time it is not saying book. Okay, books, yeah. So it is a general object detection, which I can use to build my projects or in any of the things. Next, I would like to show you is a face mesh application. So if you have used Facebook, Snapchat, or anything else, you can put cameras, you can put, you can put goggles, you can make tongue sticking out of my face, or you can put a cat ears. So whatever editing you want to do, you can do on this thing. It's an open source tool or just a piece of software given by Google for developer like us to make some cool apps. Okay, so it is kind of doing a face mesh. I can put a goggle on my face, I can do a mustache, I can do a beard, all whatever I want, and it is tracking my face throughout just with the inbuilt camera. No extra setup is being required, right? And next, I would like to show you hand detection. So how you can, so you want to make some gesture based games, right? With this, you can make, see my hands, both the hands are being tracked, different gestures, whatever I want to do, I can do with this, right? I can make, okay, play this, or I can move a robot with these gestures, or I can maybe draw on virtually on the space. I can make a virtual AI painter, right? Because I get all these, my hands are being tracked throughout. Right, now let me give you one pose example, or better a holistic. So all of you who are fitness freaks would love to go to gyms and all, right? So this is, suppose I am lifting, this program will give me whether my shoulder angle is good or not, whether I'm doing correctly or not, right? So I can get a pose, what is the angle between my hands, so I can replicate these motions directly to a robot. So this angle, go right, go left, do this, pick that, all that can be directly transferred from this pose, because my face is being recorded, my hands are being tracked, my whole body pose is being tracked. Okay. Yeah. So yes, this is what I wanted to show you guys. Now I'm open to questions. If you have any questions, you can ask. Right? Any projects you are doing, anything you are interested to know, what else can be done, or yeah, you can ask anything you want. Thank you for your time for joining this presentation.